This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so to recap, we are understanding about Salesforce development. The first thing what we need to know as part of the Salesforce development, what we do, we are like a full stack developer. Okay, so that means for any web application, what we need is the user interface, the web page, what we see when you open any website, whatever we see on the screen. To develop that one, we need to know about the user interface, the concepts. Okay, so basically we use HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Okay, but specific to Salesforce, so they have different frameworks provided for the UI development. Okay, so one of the framework, Visual Force, it was there until 2000. Now also it is there until 2015 year. We use it to develop the web pages using Visual Force. Okay, of course, inside that we also little bit use HTML and we use CSS, JavaScript based on the need. So later, Salesforce they came up with ARA components. So we also call this one as Lightning components from 2015. Okay, which is one of the modern framework we use it to work with the ARA components, or we also say that as a Lightning component. Okay, but again in 2019, Salesforce they introduced LWC, Lightning Web Components, one of the even more latest framework. So as part of this course, most of the topics we discuss for LWC, so which is latest. The other things I'll explain basics. Also, maybe if needed, I'll provide my old batch recordings where you see too many classes on Visual Force and ARA, because I'm now not focusing because those are outdated. Okay, so we discuss these things, and also on web page, right, when you do something, right, whatever we see here, you click on some button or if you do something here, some logic will execute in the background, right, for that. So server side programming language, right, means in Salesforce server only this language will execute. So we use Apex programming language. Okay, so not Java, .NET or Python. No. Specific to Salesforce, we have Apex programming language, which is similar to the syntax of Java or maybe .NET, right? Object-oriented programming. It's also OOPS-based programming language. We will discuss in detail going forward. Okay. Apart from that, so we also write the database commands to read the data present in the database tables, and also to save the data, right? Like creating a new record, updating a record, deleting. So we use some commands. Those things we discuss as part of the database. Okay, so here queries. So we use queries using SOQL and SOSL. Okay, full forms and all I'll explain going forward. Okay, so but not SQL. We use SOQL, Salesforce Object Query Language, Salesforce Object H language, like that. Okay, more about these things when we start that topic. Okay, high level, these are the things we discuss as part of this training. And also, apart from this, okay, I mean, as part of the Apex, again, there are different flavors. Again, I am not explaining here. You can see the course contents. Okay. So other important topic. So we should know about the integration, because when we work for a client, the client might have different platform applications for different business modules. So that time they might want to interact. Let's say they want to establish interaction between Salesforce CRM and SAP. Or maybe in SAP, if you do something, it should save in Salesforce. In Salesforce, if you do something, it should save in SAP, or it should read some data from SAP to Salesforce. So that time we deal with the integration. Okay, we achieve integration using web services, or we say API. Okay, more about that when we start the topic. So that time we discuss. Okay, so I'm just again repeating because we should know what we are learning as part of this course. Okay, apart from that, the DevOps means, right, nowadays Salesforce DevOps means mainly, you know, when we work for one of the clients, so we don't directly work in the production, we work in sandboxes, dev, QA, UAT, production. So that's the process we follow to deploy. So how to deploy from dev to QA, how to deploy the code. So change set is one option with the configuration. No need to know much about this. It's very easy. But the problem is when multiple people are working, how to avoid replacing the code. So let's say I developed something. How can I make sure that whatever the code I have added is not replacing the other developer code? So to deal with all those kind of things, so we have version controlling concepts. Okay, so that means already one developer, sorry, deployed the one of the program. I'm one more developer. I'm making some changes and deploying. How can I make sure that I'm not replacing that other developer code? Okay, so those things can be handled using version controlling. There are some tools. We'll also discuss about those as part of this training. Okay, so now coming back to what we are discussing, out of these things, Apex is the thing what we need to know first. Okay, so that's why we are understanding the Apex programming basics. Okay, so now the first thing what we are learning, Apex is a programming language. Okay, it is specific to Salesforce. When you write any Apex program, that program stores, that will be saved in Salesforce server, right? Whatever the server space we get from Salesforce for Apple company, in that place only this code will save. So this code also can compile, means that can be only understandable by Salesforce platform. Okay, so in the Salesforce server already Salesforce, they installed a software which can understand this program. Okay, so all we do, we plan the program and it will be executed on the Salesforce platform to give the result. But how it execute, how we see the results, slowly we'll understand. First we are understanding the middle layer, how the program we write. So later, after learning about the database commands, we'll see how this code can interact with the database. So once we know that, again we learn how we develop the web page, how we can connect that web page with the Apex programming language, how that program will interact with the database. The full flow we'll understand. Okay, so for that, so since we need all topics to know, okay, so we need some time to really get the proper meaningful understanding. Okay, for now we focus with the programming language. Okay, so first thing what we need to know to start with any programming language is the programming language is case sensitive or case insensitive. Okay, so Apex programming language is case insensitive. Okay, the meaning is, so when you have multiple words, right? So something like this, Salesforce Apex language treats everything as same, but other languages like the code Java, and .NET, those are case sensitive languages. Okay, just understand this one. Okay. Yeah, the next thing what we are learning, again, one more very basic thing for any. So we are understanding about some natural language, right? Already we discussed. I'm not talking more about this again. Okay, so just like words here we call as tokens. The word can be either noun, verb, proverb. So here the token can be keyword, identifier. I'll explain when we say it is a keyword or identifier or other things. And here we frame the sentence by combining multiple words, but we have to follow the English grammar, right? Simply if you combine without meaningful, so the sentence no one can understand. Same way here, we combine multiple tokens as per the Apex program syntax. Instead of grammar, here we say syntax. Instead of sentence, here we say statement. One sentence ends with full stop, but in the programming language, the statement ends with semicolon. Only that's the difference, right? And paragraph, so here we call as a method. Okay, so one program is like one paragraph. Okay, method, other details we'll discuss more later. Just understand, set of statements will become a program. Okay, so just to understand, so what is like a programmatic way. Okay, so now uh, when we deal with English also, right, there are different types of sentences. Simple sentences, compound, right? Let's say we combine multiple sentences with and, or, because, but, something like that. Here also we have few things like that. Okay, so here I am listing out the different types of statements. Most of the programming languages we need to know these types. So first we are understanding about the memory statement. So what is the purpose of the memory statement? So purpose of the memory statement is whatever the data we deal, right? The purpose of writing any program is we give some data as input, it applies some logic, and it gives some output data, right? Let's say if I supply 10 numbers to add, take all those 10 numbers and add it and give one full number by adding, right? So that data, so where it holds that data needs some space to hold, right? When the program is started executing, right, to hold it for us, right, if someone says something, you need to listen to that, and it will be there in our mind, right, at least temporarily. After that, if you forget, that is okay. So for that, we need some memory. For us, like mind here needs some memory to hold that.
This conference will now be recorded.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so for that we need um, memory to hold. So that memory, it's not like always it hold same memory. Okay, based on the type of data what we deal, the data can be a number, or the data can be a string, or it can be any other type. So based on the type, the amount of memory needed will be decided. So for that, first we need to know what are the types of data, how we classify the data into different types. So here are the types. So technically we call that as data types. Okay, so all these are the types available in the Apex programming language. Okay, I have listed everything in alphabetical order. Okay, already yesterday we discussed. Again, I'm not repeating. Okay, so now we know the different types. So by using these types, how we allocate the memory. Okay, that we are discussing. Okay? In our example, we are understanding to hold one of the person age. Okay, so how we define the memory statement. Okay, person age means it is a number. Maybe I don't want 29.6 years, something like that. I want rounded number. So for that we have integer type. Okay, maybe it take few days time to recognize which we can use, but all you need to think always some rounded numbers like quantity is some where we don't need decimal digits, we go with integer. If you want decimal digits like some amount you need to store, right, $5.6 something like that, we go with the decimal. Okay, so now we are using integer for age. Okay, so technically, so if you allocate the memory, right, it allocate the memory to hold the data, but by default it won't, nothing will be there. So that if there is nothing is there, that we call as null in Salesforce. If people say, I mean, in programming languages, when people say null, that means memory is allocated, but nothing is stored in that. It is still empty. So that time we say null. Okay, to know those things, right? So to compile the Apex code and see how it is holding data and all those things, we use the developer console. Okay, all we need to do, log into the developer edition account and click on this gear icon and open this developer console. Okay, once we open the developer console, so click on debug and the first option, open execute anonymous window. So for this here, just we write Apex statements and execute and see how the results are coming. Okay, here what we did. So let's say I'm defining integer, right? Integer is the data type. And after that, we need to give the space. So the name of the memory, right? We need to give some unique name for the memory, whatever it allocates. Because if you want to refer the value present in that memory location, we say is, right? So it's like that, right? Um, so it's like right. Let's say you went to some temple, church somewhere. So we keep our shoes in some shoe stand, right? So maybe they give some numbers like A1, A2, B1, B2, right? And they give some token. So I mean to recognize that. So otherwise there are like 100 areas to keep your shoes. We might forget. If you have that number, we can recognize, right? In the same way here, right? So multiple integer types we can define. Maybe is quantity or maybe some other types. All are integers only. But which memory is for age? Which memory is for quantity? So we need to have some unique name, right? So all of us, we are all of us persons only. If we don't have name, right? How we recognize each other? How I can say particular person? So if you have name, it will be easy to recognize. Okay, in the same way, right? So when we allocate the memory, we have to mention what type. Let's say person, male or female. In the same way here, data type. Let's say female. How to recognize? Maybe name, right? So here, like that. Okay, so just understand. Okay, so now when you allocate the memory, and if you don't assign anything, by default it is null. Okay, so to print, right? So in general, when we execute the Apex code, system means in the background Salesforce, they generate the log. So logs you can see here. In the logs you can see how much memory is allocated and what happened, everything. So if you want to, as a developer, if you want to print something in the log, okay, we use system.debug and print here whatever we want. Okay, I'm just printing the days. Okay, by default we allocated memory, but we did not assign any value. So then it holds null. Okay, when we execute, we'll see null. Okay, let me execute. And also I'm just opening log immediately. If you don't check this one, we need to double click open. I'm just checking. So it execute and it open the log immediately. So this is the log, but I don't have patience to see all these things. Okay, so as a developer, when you print something in custom and if you want to see only that one, we click on this debug only. Only it is showing that, right? If you see here, it's printing null. Okay, we need to see after this pipe symbol. Okay, so null is nothing but nothing is there. That's the meaning of the null. Okay, if I assign some value, now execute. Now the age that memory holds 24, right? So 24 you are seeing. Select that. Okay, that's about the memory statement. Okay, so just to understand. So let me give one more example. Let's say now this time store the name of the person, right? So name of the person is which type? If you see all these types, so name is nothing but some text, right? So either a single character or multiple characters or a sentence. So we use a string. Okay. So string is the proper option to deal with any text. Let's say address, first name, last name, all those things are fall under string. Okay, I'm just go to developer console here. Again, each and every statement should be in a separate line. Okay, you can give some spaces between the lines to read it easily. Okay, so I'm just giving the data type. Okay, and also I'm giving some name to hold the first name, right? I'm just giving like this, and to hold last name. If you see this, right, L means what is this L? We cannot recognize what exactly they are going to store. Okay, I mean we avoid for memory whatever the name we give, we avoid giving ABC, XYZ, those kind of things. So we use those things maybe when we start newly, maybe when we study that time, right? So, but in the projects, okay, we have to follow some programming standards as a experienced developer, right? All of us we apply with some experience. So, as a experienced developer, if you give ABC, XYZ, it won't work. Okay, we should give some meaningful name so that by reading that, people should guess that what we are storing. Okay, so now this one I want to store the first name. So give first name. By reading that, okay, people can guess that we are going to store some person first name, right? In the same way, last name. So always give the meaningful name for the memory, whatever we allocate. Okay, just understand. Um, and also, right. So when you are defining same type, multiple memory locations, if you are creating, every time no need to define string and that name, string that name, no need to define like that. Okay, so if you are defining multiple memory locations of the same type, what we can do, we can keep comma and we can give, right, one more memory location. Okay, and also after string, right, we should give space, otherwise system can understand. So for sure data type and the memory name, whatever we give, we should have space. And to separate multiple memory locations, we use comma. So here, do we need to give space? It's up to you. If you don't give also, it's okay. If you give also, it's okay. Okay. If you give space, you can easily read it. Okay. So this you don't see much problem. Anyway, while starting, so you can execute, right? If you don't see any error, okay, that means you are whatever you are writing is correct. Right now I'm giving space and I'm executing. Now also it is correct. I'm not seeing error, right? So let's say I forgot to keep semicolon ending of the statement. It will throw error, right? That it will say the code is not correct. Okay, I'm executing now. If you see unexpected token, first name, line number 4, this one. So the thing is, here we forgot this semicolon. Okay, so just understand. And also, as a experienced developer, okay, we have to follow some naming conventions. I'll explain about those things in few minutes. So before to that, here also, if you want, you can assign some default value, right? So here I'm assigning value slash name and just give it. Okay. So you can print and you can system.debug. Okay, you can print that first name. Right. Again, one more system.debug. I don't want to use. I want to print both first name and last name together in the log. Right. So when you have two string memory locations, if you want to print together, so we need to concatenate. For that we use plus. Okay, plus we say operator. What is the operator? I'll explain in detail. Okay, general to combine multiple texts, we use plus. Okay, if you don't give space here, okay, still okay. Okay, if you give space, we can easily read it. That's why I'm giving. Okay, so now let's execute and see. Okay, now if you see, while printing joy without any space, it is combining m. Okay, but I want space between first name, last name, right? Okay, what we'll do to give empty space, okay, within the single quote. Okay, so I'm again combining with that. This is string combining with empty. I mean, here one space is there inside with the last name. Okay, and make sure that here in Apex we use only single quote, right? Double quotes if you use, right, won't work. In Apex we never use double quotes. Okay, maybe in Java or .NET maybe you see double quotes, but here only single quotes. Okay, just understand. All the strings everywhere we need to use single quote. Okay, double quotes. We also deal with the JavaScript scripting language. There we can use single quote or double quote. Okay, but here only single quote. Okay, now we are giving space also. Now execute and see. So now if you see, right, you see the first name space last name, right? So both we are combining with the space first name last name. Okay, so that's about this, how we define. Okay, so now, so one thing what I want to show you, when we deal here, I'm saying, right, I mean here in the program whatever you are seeing, everything is a token, right? This is a token, this is a token, this is a token, this is a token, everything is a token. Okay, but it's like a word. But words can be either noun, verb. By seeing that, we can recognize which one is verb, which one is adjective, all those things. Right? While learning, we learn. Same way here, token. Um, but which one we call as keyword, which one identifier, which one operator. Okay, I'll explain now. Okay, now if you see here, integer, right? It's a token. This one, what we call. So this one we call as keyword. So when we say it's a token is a keyword. Okay, so here so while writing the Apex code, right? As a developer, if you want to write some notes, some comments, so single line commenting, we give 2 slashes and write. Here, whatever you write, system won't compile. It won't check for syntax. It's just for our developer sake. Okay. So here, what I am saying, um, keyword, right? Integer, string, all those things are the keyword. Keyword meaning is any token provided by the programming language, which we cannot change the meaning, right? So if I say integer and allocate the memory, if I try to store some other type of value, right? I have defined integer, but I am trying to store text. It won't allow, right? Illegal assignment from string to integer. So integer means always it accepts integer value, not the string other types. So can I change the meaning? Can I allow this one with some other type? No, never. When you say integer, always number, right? Even if I give some decimal digits, it won't take. Legal assignment from decimal to string. This is a decimal number. Okay, so the thing is, any token which we cannot change the meaning, we call that one as a token. Any token which developer cannot change the meaning of what the purpose, change the purpose of why they are providing, that we call as a keyword. So here integer is a keyword, right? So what are the other things? So what are the keywords? Okay, maybe this one I'm typing next line, or let me this. Or we also have multi-line commenting. Okay, for each and every line, if you don't want to give like this, so what we can do simply, okay, so starting, right, slash star slash, the multi-line or maybe some part of the line we can comment. This is the starting and this is the ending. In between, whatever you type, Salesforce consider that one as a comment and they won't compile for syntax. Okay, compile is nothing but executing. Okay, so now any token which developer cannot change the purpose, we call as a keyword. What are the keywords from the above statements? Integer, right? String. For string, can I assign number? It won't allow. Integer, string. So null, you know about null. Null means nothing, right? If you don't assign anything, it hold null, right? So let's say integer quantity is equal to, I'm not assigning anything. Let's say if you print it, you see null. It print null. Okay? So null means nothing. So that is provided by Apex programming language, Salesforce. Okay, so that also we call as a keyword. Okay, those are the examples of the keywords. So when we say identifier, right? We have identifier. if you see here, so what is that identifier? Identifier means as a developer, right? For our identification purpose, as a developer, we decide the name. Those we call as identifier. Okay, for example, integer, right? Space. This is the name of the memory, whatever we decided to store the is. Who is giving this name? Developer. As a developer, if you write the program, it's your wish what you want to give. You want to give a, yeah, you can give. Technically, it is correct. Or you want to give something like person is, right? Other age or whatever. So we decide as per the requirement, right? So this for identification purpose, right? For this integer to store is, as a developer, I am giving some name for our identification purpose, right? In the same way, quantity, I'm giving this. I can also give like this. Other developer will give something else. These things, what we are deciding, first name, last name, all these are identifiers. Okay, identifier. It is also a token, right? Developer can decide. Okay, so from the above program, what are the identifiers? Is quantity, first name, last name. So all these are the identifiers. Okay, so just understand that. The next thing what I want to explain. So if you see here, we have operator. What is that operator? So we have many operators. From the above statements, one of the operator, if you see equal, right? So equal, this is a assignment operator, right? How this works? So right hand side, we give the value. Left hand side, the memory location name, right? So here, whatever we give, that will be assigned into this, right? It's like a container. In that container, whatever as per requirement we want, we can assign. Right? This container, which type? I mean, again, you have a very big item, right? So based on what we want to store, we decide with data type, right? So anyway, I mean, here just equal is the assignment. Always right, RHS means right hand side value. It will assign to left hand side LHS. Okay, it's like that. Okay, so here also for assignment we are using. And also one more thing, plus is also operator. Here what it is doing, it's concatenating, right? First name and empty string, again last name, everything it is concatenating. We are concatenating using plus operator. Yes, those we call as operators, right? So operators will do some calculations, it do something logical thing. Okay, from the above program, equal to plus, those are the operators. There are many other operators. Slowly, when we write the programs, we'll understand. Okay, so that's about operator. The next one, we have literals, right? Literal is nothing but a number. Okay, so from above program, 24 is a number, right? Say literals number 24. Okay? All numbers we say literals. The next one is string, right? If you see from the above program, joy, m, these are the strings. Okay, so if you see, technically everything is a token. If you don't know what to call, say token. If you want to go in specific, say keyword data type. right? Like this. Okay, so here joy, all these are the strings. And so just understand so far. So if you have any questions, you can ask. Next point. So what I want to explain, pasting here for our notes. So this identifier I'm saying, right? So technically no one say is name of the memory or identifier. People don't say like that. Identifier is a too much technical term. Like reading in book and all will work. Okay. So identifier, little bit more in a different way if you want to say. We also say data member. In Java and all, they'll say data to store data. We use this. We can say data member. That is also still more technical term. Okay? But on day to day, everyone what people say, we say that as variable. Okay, whatever the name we give for the memory, so that on day to day, everyone mostly what we call as variable. Okay, so when you read somewhere something or when people are talking, okay, all you need to understand this is the generic term everyone use, variable. So for data types, whatever the names we give, those we call as variable. When you read some technical blogs or books, you also see as data member or identifier. Everything is same. Okay, going forward, I will say this as a variable. Maybe I don't say memory name, something like that. Okay, so as a developer, what we decide while allocating the memory, so that we call as variable, and going forward, I'll say variable. Okay, again, I will never say memory name like that. Okay, so just understand. So say variable. Okay, so that's the first part of basics. Okay, so far any confusion on understanding. So we should know we call how we write the memory statement, and we should know which is keyword, and we should know that we call these things as variables. So that's the first basic thing. So yeah, any questions you can ask. So especially non-technical people who is not having any programming background, so are able to follow, or still you are facing any challenge. So anyone? So far everyone you are able to understand? Yeah, in case if you are not still understanding, let me know. So I'll try to explain in such a way. Okay. So now, yeah, the next thing what I want to explain. So as a developer, right? So we have to follow some standards. Already I told we don't define as A, B, C, X, Y, Z like that. We give the meaningful names for the variables. Okay. So if you don't give meaningful name, will it throw any error while executing the code? No. In the background, no one knows what is executing and how it is giving result. For client, all they need is the result. If you define as ABCD also, it gives the same result. But why we need to follow the naming standard? When we do development, let's say today I'm developing this code. Tomorrow I might change the company. The other person joins in this company and work on the same code. If I don't follow some standards, like as per my mindset, whatever ABC, XYZ, whatever I give, the other people cannot easily understand. So if I follow some standards, most of the all other developers, whatever they follow, it's very easy. Other developers can easily understand. Even tomorrow, if I join in another company, I expect other people also follow these standards. Otherwise, will find difficulty on understanding, right? That's why for the sake of, if someone review your code that time, okay, so to prove that we have the experience, and it's also a good habit to maintain the standards. Okay, and again one more thing, so technically we call this one as indentation. Okay, people use some technical words. If people say indentation, right, that means programming standards. Okay, if you don't follow, nothing will happen, right? So nothing will happen. Okay, this is like so technically not needed. Okay, but right, for our job as an experienced developer, we need it. Okay, technically not mandated. I'll say, if I say not needed, we don't follow. Okay, but if you follow, it is good. So what are the standards? So if you see, right, whenever I define any memory statement, right, whenever I define a statement and define a variable, if you see each data type, whatever I am including, I am starting with the capital letter, right? So the first thing always, right? So whatever the data type should start with capital letter. That's one standard throughout this project. Whenever I write the code, that's what I follow. That's what everyone follows. If you don't follow, still program will work. But other people, when they review your code, so they think that you are not a professional developer. Okay. So that thing, and the next one, the variable name, right? So whenever we give the variable name, if there are multiple words, right? If you see here, we follow camel case. Camel case means we start with small letter. If there is a multiple words, right? So the second word we give capital, and again, except the first word, remaining all next words. So we give the capital letter, right? It's like my first variable, right? See, my is the first word I'm giving with all small letters. First is the second word, starting with capital letter, where again capital letter. So like that we follow. Okay. So just understand, variable name should be in the camel case. Okay. So camel case means like this. Variable name should be in camel case. So that's the, this one, if you don't follow, still it will work. Okay, just understand, and don't give the variable names as ABCD. Okay, that I'm not including. Yeah, and also going forward, we write methods and the classes, but at that time I'll explain what are the standards we follow. But in general, try to follow what I am following. Okay, and also if you see, right, um, again, um, when I write some programs, you'll see few more standards. Okay, that time I'll explain few things like giving a tab space inside a block. So those kind of things we'll see in future that time. Okay, and also few things for sure we need to follow, right? Uh, should be followed to execute the code successfully. Okay, So the first thing is, can I give the variable name as anything, whatever I want? For example, I am giving age, right? Can I give 00 as my variable name, right? So execute unexpected token 00. Variable can have number, but only the number you cannot give as a variable, okay? And also, let's say it can be combined with a text. I'm giving 00 age. Will it accept? I cannot accept it. Right? The thing is, the variable only, I mean, it should not be only the number, and it should not start with the number. Okay, you can keep any other place. Let's say I'm giving age 1 or 00 whatever. Execute, right? Variable, I mean, I think I rename it, right? Below somewhere I'm using. Yeah, it is accepted. It is acceptable. Okay, the thing is, variable can have number, but it should not start with number, and it should not be only the number. Okay, so that's the first rule. Variable can have number after a string. Okay, so maybe in the bracket valid, I'll say number 1 or whatever, right? It's valid. What is invalid? Only number, let's say invalid, not acceptable, right? Starting with maybe number, not acceptable, invalid. Okay, for sure we need to follow this. Okay, and also variables should not have space. Should not have space. Right? I cannot give age space 1. No. Unexpected token is, right? So should not start with space, and it should not have a special characters except underscore. Variables should not have special characters except underscore, right? So what are the valid expressions? Let's say I can say number underscore 1, yes, valid, but it should not start with underscore num1, something like that. So what is invalid? Okay, I cannot say underscore number something. Can try. Okay, maybe in JavaScript and all it accepts, but not here. Okay, so it's throwing error. And also, okay, so it should be somewhere later. Okay, so just to understand, the other special characters not allowed, right? Dollar, no, won't accept. It will throw error. Just understand these things. Okay, these things for sure we have to follow. Otherwise, our code will fail. First of all, we cannot save our code. Okay, these are the things. And next thing, the variable name should not be the keyword name. Variable name should not be the keyword. Keyword means maybe data types, those kind of things. Right? For example, so this one, right? I cannot say integer, boolean is one keyword, right? Or string or whatever, null. It should not. Identifier name is reserved, right? Reserved means it's like a keyword. Cannot use. That null is also a keyword, right? Expected token null. So we cannot use those. Okay. So valid. So maybe if you combine this with something else, null one, okay, accepted. That's not the keyword, right? So, but if you give something like integer and a null, those are the invalid things. Okay, so just understand, for sure we need to follow. Okay, so as soon as you know these things, now we know how we write one memory statement. So these are the types. In our next class, tomorrow, I'll explain the other types, and we deal with the arithmetic and logical statements and different examples. And after understanding these statements, I'll show you few programs from some websites. By seeing that program, we should be able to recognize why they are writing that statement. What is a memory statement? What is arithmetic and logical statements? We would be in a position to identify. That's the main thing. Okay. So once we know, okay, next how we write all this code in a proper structure, right? So all those things we'll discuss. So for today we are done. I'll share these notes. So basically these notes and everything, uh, this drive right here I'll keep. Okay, in worst case, if you don't know how to access this document, just ping me in WhatsApp. Okay, so all you need to do, just study. So here in the meeting, I think already, so I have updated with that link. So all you need to do, so I have provided this. Okay, so open this and the recording, sorry, not this one, this one, recording I'll add here. In case if you don't know, ask me, I'll share. References here still I did not add, but anyway I shared this folder with you. You can still look into this, and today I'll add, make sure that add that. So here I think the notes I pasted here. Okay, so again today also I'll paste. Okay. Later I will arrange in a proper way where we can see all this code in a proper way. Okay, for now just look into this. I think I'll decide to take this in a better format. I'll generate other URL and add to that Excel. Okay. Yeah. So we're done. So any questions before ending? No questions. Okay. So we'll continue tomorrow. Yeah. So I mean, this is too early to give some assignments. Slowly in next 2 days, I'll keep on add trailhead modules and other things where you can practice. Okay. We have many things to refer.